Hiya, I'm John from BikeSocial. In this video I want to show you how to properly clean and lube your motorcycle chain, but also what you can use to clean it. There's two types of bike chain. The larger capacity bikes generally have what's called a sealed chain, which has O-rings or X-rings between the plates on the rollers. Now these are a continuous loop, and because they go around the swing arm pivot, you can't take them out without cutting it. Some smaller capacity bikes will have a split link, and you can take that link out and remove the chain to clean it, but to be honest, it's so grubby and cleaning it really isn't that hard. You might as well leave it on the bike. Now with a non-sealed chain, one that doesn't have O-rings, you can be more aggressive with cleaning it, and some people will use petrol there, which we'll go into that in a moment, and you could use brass bristle brush or something like that, but I'd say just keep it simple. I tend to use one of these. It's a chain cleaning brush. Really good, it allows you to clean three sides of the chain at the same time. This is an Oxford Products one. You can also buy them in kits. XCP that does a cleaner and a lube, does pack with one of these built in. It's definitely worth having. Another thing you can use is just a nylon bristle brush. This is just a cheap one I've got from the pound shop. So it's really important that you clean your chain before you lube it. Really important. If you don't, all the gunk that's built up on that chain, which is probably stuck to the lube you had on there in the first place, but however it's on there, you're only putting the lube over that. Now that gunk and dust and grit inside the chain acts as a grinding paste and will really accelerate the wear on your chain. For the purpose of this video, I've got some XCP Universal Parts Cleaner, which is also suitable for chains. I've got some paraffin, and I've also got, in this bottle, is some Surfex HD. First off, quick safety point: do not be tempted to clean or lube your chain with the engine running. You could hold a brush here and run it as it goes round, but it's so dangerous, and I'm going to show you why. Not using my finger, but using this piece of wooden dowel. Temptation's there to have your bike in first gear and just turning over. It does make lubing and cleaning your chain a lot easier, but you've only got to catch your finger in there and it's off, so just don't do it with the engine running. Right, so first of all we'll use a bit of this Universal Parts Cleaner. So these can really do a good job of getting a lot of grease and gunk off. But I do find they tend to, you can use up quite a bit of a can quite quickly. And what you really want to be doing is getting this chain properly soaked to drive the dirt out. So you can either use a cleaning spray, you can put some paraffin in a bottle, or kerosene if you're in America, which a lot of people do, or I'm going to use a bit of this Surfex. So what I want to do is really get this chain soaked. Now it doesn't matter with this if it gets on your tyre. It's not going to leave anything greasy. What we're doing is really seeing the dirt washing off. You can see it pooling on the floor, and that's rinsing that dirt right out. So you could use a brush here, and you can see it's already taken off. Just a normal brush. You can see it's already taken off the surface rust. You do want to make sure you're getting everywhere. So I'm going to use this Oxford chain brush. The way I like to do it, and I have done this with it running before, but I'm not doing it anymore. Just hold the brush against the chain. I tend to move it around left and right. Make sure I really get everything clean. Now this chain really has got rusty. The bike's been used right through the winter, and I obviously left it a bit long before I put some more chain lube on. So it's got to work that little bit harder to get it properly clean. Now you can use this type of brush, this way up too, clean the top edge. If you find that a bit awkward, just use another brush, run on top. But what's really important is that this chain is thoroughly clean. Okay, so the chain's been really well cleaned here. The top edges of this chain are actually quite badly corroded, but everything else is thoroughly clean. Next job is to give it a quick rinse off. Okay, that's really nice and clean now, but before we put any lube on it, we've got to make sure it's dry. So whenever you're working on the chain, always be really careful, especially working this way. You're best off moving the wheel backwards. So the area you're working on, you're drawing your thumb, your fingers away from being fed into the chain sprockets. Even just doing this by hand, it takes a second, it really, really hurts, so don't do it. Okay, so we're going to put some chain lube on now. Now putting this on can be a little bit awkward, and remember, as your chain's spinning, centripetal force is going to drive that lube outwards. So you don't want to just layer it on the outside, because it's never going to get inside the chain. You're best off spraying it on the inside edge of the chain, and then you still want to put some on the outside edge, which is what I think I forgot to do on this one, where it's got a little bit corroded. So I'll often pop a piece of wood behind my chain. This one's a bit low. Okay, and this is just to stop the lube going over your tyre. This is the XCP chain lube. This is an S-stock one, and from Motorhouse you can get this this guard, which allows you to spray the chain without going out behind it. Really good idea. It doesn't fit all lubes, so I'll show you it with both methods. Okay, so using this XCP first, I'll spray a bit. Try and make sure you get it on both edges. So you want to be looking to get it on the back here and this side. You really want to cover the whole chain, but you don't need a lot. And then just move your way around. Now some lubes, it's clearer the areas you've covered and the areas you haven't. Now what I'm also going to do is come onto the back, just give it a spray across the back, which is what I didn't do last time. And then we can wipe off some excess. Just make sure you haven't got too much on there. Okay, so if I just show you with this clean bob from Motorhouse, you see it hooks behind the chain, and you can just spray it without getting the lube all over your tyre. Now most lubes, it's best to leave them to dry a bit before you use the bike. Some lubes say to put them on while they're warm, while the chain's warm. Now of course the problem with that is if by the time you've cleaned the chain's gone cold. I've checked with some manufacturers and they said really it's not too much of an issue. Most important thing is that the chain's clean. So let's go into the workshop and I'll show you what you should and shouldn't use to clean your chain. Okay, hi, so here are the products I've been testing as motorcycle chain cleaners. Now this was done brilliantly in brief by Motorcyclist magazine in the US when they asked a question about WD40 being safe on motorcycle chains, particularly on the O-rings. A lot of people believe that the WD will degrade the O-ring, so they tested it to see if it would, and it didn't. I wanted to go a step further, so all of these products have been in here and since the 24th of November 2016. Today it's the 4th of January 2018. So they've been in there a fair while. Now obviously when you clean your chain you're not going to leave this stuff on there that long, but maybe you cleaned it and then left it and didn't ride it for ages, but this is just to make sure. Now this isn't every motorcycle chain cleaner. I've got some specific ones in there, but mainly I've looked at the things, I actually went online and asked people what they use for cleaning their chains. So we've got petrol, panel wipe, WD40, GT85, 3-in-1 oil, Holtz brake cleaner, GS27 disc brake chain cleaner, meths, Gunk, paraffin or kerosene, ACF 50, white spirit, Surfex HD, which is a bike cleaner I often use, nail polish remover, and Tesco's all-purpose spray. Now I also got some XCP chain cleaner in for test. I didn't get that in until the 25th of August 2017. So that's been in a relatively short time, but it's still been in plenty of time. So all I did was took some O-rings that were supplied by B&C Express. These are they do premium motorcycle chains. Measured them for their thickness, the diameter and their flexibility just by the feel. And then the idea is all of these will come out see how flexible they are, and if any of them are degraded at all. So let's see what happens. Okay, so they're all measured. I measured them for thickness was the main thing. You could tell if they'd swollen while being in those fluids. Also rolled them on my fingers and pulled them and looked for any cracks to see if they degraded. There's actually only two that went. It was the petrol and the nail polish remover. Petrol was the worst. That's swollen from 1.8mm thickness to 2.2mm. And the nail polish remover swollen to 1.95mm. The petrol went really soft. It's weird, it just goes really floppy. I was actually expecting them to crack. Nail polish remover one isn't quite as bad, but just don't use petrol or nail polish remover. Now if you're thinking it's going to extreme, just carry on using petrol anyway, I actually measured these after one day. So back on the 24th of November 2016, and the petrol had swollen and gone a bit soft, and the nail polish remover had swollen and gone soft. So clean your chain before you lube it. Clean it in something suitable, not petrol, not nail polish remover. If in doubt, use something designed for cleaning motorcycle chains.